Welcome! Skimming discussion threads as I tend to do with games I'm playing, I've determined there's a lot of kind advice I can help shove players into. Endgame as of right now is the Defy Infinity quest category. Before you skip ahead, I was generally a little shocked that people don't yet have some, I suppose, easy to miss things covered for themselves, but have still somehow gotten to this next point of their game. So I will be bringing up a few pieces of advice from my previous beginner's guide to Endgame that still apply here. This guide you're watching right now assumes you're focused on a main and not a single player NPC party. All mains are valid and all mastery traits can competently exist within the bounds of Defy Infinity. Finally, Defy Infinity has some pretty specific needs in terms of what stats you're bringing to the table. Hopefully this guide isn't going to feel too much like Death by PowerPoint, but it will because some of you haven't done this first one. Let's begin. Whether you're sticking to a main or gearing an ult, do their Fate episodes. This is a quintessential boost to their raw stats, but more importantly, it grants 2 sigil slots. Fate episodes are little lore dumps and side stories for your characters that mostly play out as a well-voiced slideshow with a couple of action breaks in between. If you so wish, you can skim these, but you absolutely should not ignore them. 2 slots. No longer is the gear treadmill about getting those huge boosts to attack. If you've been building the vanilla way since the expansion dropped, you've probably been hitting several hundreds of % over the cap for most of the game, and maybe don't even realize it. So let's be really honest with you all who don't already know the importance of damage cap. Having all the damage in the world doesn't mean jack shit if you can't access it. Outside of the basic ×4 damage cap sigil stat that'll get you to around 60 to 65, there's plenty of other non-conflicting ways to raise that damage cap. Separate damage cap raises that don't conflict with that raw damage cap stat. You see these? Great. Consider using them. You getting a guaranteed Fate Breaker plus damage cap sigil very early on was actually a teaching tool in terms of your gear and your priorities. There's also way more damage cap expansion, and I'll touch on that shortly. First, craft all of your weapons. Yeah, all of them. You can build around the one of your choice. That'll see you right through all content in-game, but per character that you plan to take through Defy Infinity, you need to build them all and enhance them to at least level 6. There's now an additional 100% collection mastery with nodes, and this includes things like more damage cap, which, as we've touched on, is what you're looking for. Speaking of your weapon, try and gear your build around its damage cap raises, such as this one that raises skill damage cap, or this particularly fiddly one that grants huge boosts once you're hitting a base rate of 200% crit rate. Mastery traits. Right, so your main has hit the plus 50 mastery and you can finally branch out with those EX traits. You're not bound to a single style tree, which might be some news to you, but you will only be able to push one to the max in terms of style rank perks. My point is, you can pick and choose from all 3, and if you're not picking from all 3, you're severely limiting your character's DPS. Now, certain characters have specific traits that matter to all variants. For example, this Artfully Adept trait for Gran and Jita is an absolute necessity no matter what you're doing. But this is more about things like, the damage cap. There's raw damage cap enhancement access across all trees. You'll also want to pick the ones that raise the cap of all of your equipped active damage skills too. Or support specifically, if you're running healing skills, you'll want to get shield override or added shields granted upon using skills, as a lot of beneficial sigils players will bring inhibit receiving heals from other players. This trait here and traits like it, if you're going to take it, I'd aim for hitting 3 stacks instead of maxing out all 5. There's so much more you can be doing outside of basic stat stacking, and also it can get real fiddly with sigil synthesis unless you're stacked with pre-existing sigils to throw in the bin. For Defy Infinity, in regards to mastery levels specifically, max break isn't required, but for your own sake, you should at least reach the soft cap of mastery 50 so you can trait yourself to those 20 style rank EX points. The summon system was introduced in this expansion and serves us more than the pretty install that summons big dragon thing. You'll notice a bunch of active traits and equip bonuses. The active trait bonuses of your summons are something that should round out things your build is missing, be it a little extra stun, some missing crit rate for crit weapons, war elemental, supplementary damage, etc. The equip bonuses can be things like, you guessed it, more damage cap. Multiplayer will limit you to only being able to summon your primary selected summon, and what you bring is really to taste sans a few kind of wasteful ones. Yada 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 yada. This particular summon is my favorite to bring because it's useful and cats, but I'd say the most useful summon is probably Master Trait Enhanced Referee for a purpose of helping us with what comes next, the DPS. Alright, so by now we know that damage cap is important. What about other important stats? Okay, that's another really easy answer actually, and a wall you run into really fast during Defy Infinity quests if you and your team are missing them. Huge numbers won't necessarily come strictly from your raw DPS rotations, but actually Skybound Art Chains, Primal Burst, and Link Time. I recommend your character has at least 20 to 30 points dedicated to Uplift. This will allow more consistent build towards Skybound Arts usage. For the other thing, as close to 300 stun power as you can get onto your build, as that means more link attack access, which leads to more link time. Skybound Arts and the associated Primal Burst grants a bunch of link time percent, and the huge free damage window during link time grants a bunch of Skybound Arts meter. Not only are they necessary for hitting DPS checks, which for some of these Defy Infinity quests is the actual quest timer, they also feed into each other just by coexisting. I'd say these are the base of your priorities when it comes to building for and pushing Defy Infinity. Here's where we can start making some particular choices as our slots and power sources from Imbue and summons start to skew. The other free-flowing DPS you can access from your regular builds is supplementary damage. If you can get all three of these, then great. If you can get to a place with at least two, then that's superb. Look at all your damage. There's also old faithfuls like War Elemental, which is still incredible, and everywhere post-expansion in terms of farming it. And what about the defensive stuff? This depends on the person you're asking. I have my favorite ways of playing, but I'll list all the options anyway. I'd say the symbiotic relationship of HP and defense is a pretty decent priority. If you plan to use your max Ascended Terminus weapon, then totally aim to have your HP just under 200k. Otherwise, aim to taste. Right from the 4th Chaos Quest, you'll go down in one hit. So it's nice not to have that happen. Ocean Hoarder still makes the rounds. If you can stop yourself from needing revive, then the more DPS you can pump out. Obviously, auto revive and guts fall into the same category. I'm a dodge guy when it comes to survival. Because of the guard and dodge, it's the more chill panic button, if that makes sense. So I like to make sure I at least run Nimble Onslaught. With dodge options, this also extends to things like the ever controversial flight over fight. Dropping 50% DPS is never going to be worse than hit in critical state, so it's completely valid to also take this. Don't listen to the naysayers. You gotta remember where our main bursts of DPS come from. You're a beginner. It's okay to not be perfect guarding. Perfect guard functionality was updated for the expansion to ensure they don't interrupt the flow of combat for a lot of character actions. They're very powerful as they also don't incur the animation delay you'll get from dodging, and if you can pull it off, it's way more satisfying in the hype station department. I personally find these harder to land consistently, but you know, if it matters to you, at the end of the day, it is better overall. Just not something you need to sweat for. You just found out about your missing sigil slots. Slow down. Finally, better than all that is building around Max Drain and Immortal Shell. But that's for people who don't need this video, huh? So you've finally gotten all those basics about build and stuff down. Still flexible and still not too severe of a grind considering the hours we had to put in during Relink Vanilla. Here's your grinding points. These missions here are great if you want to spread your drops around while future-proofing current and future character building projects. There are also specific spot farming missions for things like mastery points and enhancement crystals. Revenge of the Ooze is fantastic for mastery points, but do note, it's all there really is to gain consistently from said mission. So if there's nothing you can get out of the other suggested general missions, and you really want to only hit max mastery, then this is the one, I guess. The music's very catchy. The mission is very tedious. These two quests are the go-to for enhancement crystals. This one here is better consistently, but this one is pretty valid if you can speed clear it. I personally don't recommend the 3 missions I just mentioned, as I'm someone who likes to run alternative build loadouts and outs, and I've been insufferable about this kind of thing since Guild Wars 1. For Relink, it's because the weapon enhancement grind far outweighs any of these sans max mastery, which isn't actually your priority. Quickly, on Mastery beyond level 50, you'll unlock more offensive and defensive mastery nodes when breaking 1 to 5 stars, which also come with an additional mastery point cost. But, it adds things like damage cap. So, plan your farms accordingly. Okay, you're all built up and ready to steadily push Defy Infinity. You want these cleared so you can unlock the fight that grants you the final upgrade materials for your Terminus weapon. Here's some quick points for the following fights I feel I should disclose. During the world, you can jump or hover a jump dodge over these. It's actually really chill. Beelzebub will telegraph red and yellow orb attacks, which is so great in a map that's essentially gold and crimson. Guard red orbs to make him flinch. Yellow orbs you'll need to dodge. This can be the difference between wiping or not. Infinity Lucilius is actually quite close to his original penultimate endgame version in vanilla. You've done this fight several times at this point. It's more a race against the clock. Speaking of racing against the clock, Infinity versus Pain Point is the pitifully small amount of time. Always be stuck to id for resource building when Versa is out of reach, and ensure you don't activate 100% link time on id unless Versa is right nearby. Finally, Infinity Zegolith. There's some nonsense in this fight, more so in regards to preparation. There's a critical gauge penalty present for the first half of the fight. It's not too bizarre to take this EX trait to counter it, which also stacks with other players who decide to take it. Without it, you're pretty much gone as soon as someone doesn't have a means to instantly pick themselves up. Additionally, debuffs do not work on the elemental effigy thingies you're seeing here, which are a huge focus of this battle. That means reconsider skills like Armor Break for straight raw damage, and certainly no Misery Mist, or things like that. That just means you have the timer, like with all of these fights. And if you follow this advice, especially the stun and uplift stuff, you should be able to overcome it all. And there you have it. You get your Lediva Terminus weapon, you get your 6 million mastery points, you get your Marvel token. That's it from me, and that's it from this video. There will certainly be more. Thank you for watching, hope you're well, and you got this.